Hello, hello. We are jumping on Facebook Live after a long time.
It's been a while.
We're a little scared. Okay, so let me work on our computer thing real quick and see if we can find ourselves here, and then we'll get started. There we are. Okay. We can watch for comments if you guys are going to tune in. So we are doing the Sunflower Challenge tutorial tonight. Yay! So we're going to make two different versions of this for you guys so that you can buy kits and do them at home at your own leisure, and you can stop and go on the video. I think I only have one kit out there tonight, so I think there's maybe one person doing it with us maybe. But this is for everybody that is interested in buying the sunflower kits, the door hangers, and for every door hanger we sell, whether it's in class or as a kit, $15 of that kit is going to the United for Ukraine Fund. So we're gonna send that money online through their website. So I know a lot of you are kind of anxious to kind of see how this is done. And this is my first time teaching this one, so Tara is here to help me.
I'm excited.
She's the guinea pig, and we're gonna see how this goes. It shouldn't be too hard, right?
No, of course not.
Okay, so I want to talk real quick about what you're gonna get in the kit. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our camera adjusted and then show you kind of everything that's gonna come in your kit and what the supplies are, how you're gonna use them, and then we're just gonna jump in and get started. So if you'll just give me 2 seconds and we'll adjust our camera here. It's been a long time since we have done a live, so we are definitely out of practice. Let's see. And that may be too far. One more time. Third time's a charm, guys. Hang on. Let's try this. There we go. I think that is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Like old times. Okay, so what we are getting is a 24-inch sunflower, and what you can't see, based on what I'm seeing, what you can't see is that there is actually a sunflower drawn out on here in pencil, so you don't have to figure out where the center is and where the petals are. It is all drawn for you. So, and you can see very clearly, and the way we're gonna paint it, we're gonna make sure we don't lose our lines, okay? You are going to get in your kit a cup of black paint so that you can paint the back black. You can either do this first or last. I went ahead and painted the backs of ours so that I wouldn't bore you guys with painting the back of the sunflower. But we wanna make sure we paint all of our surfaces so that it seals our wood in, because we're going to use polyurethane at the end to seal it. You are going to get, depending on what kind of sunflower you want, so you can either do a traditional sunflower or you can do a Ukraine color or Hutch flag color. So let me grab so they can see. Here's the Hutch flag. And then you also have the option of doing a traditional sunflower. And so we know that Ukraine colors are very similar. So depending on what you want to do, you could create this center with the same paint colors to be for Ukraine, or you can make it into the Hutch flag. So yeah, either way, it looks great, right? So I'm going to work on the traditional sunflower tonight, and Tara is going to work on a version of this for Ukraine.
Awesome.
Yeah, since we don't have one of those yet. So in your kit, if you have the Ukraine kit, you're going to have, or the Hutch flag, you're going to have a dark yellow, a light yellow, a blue, a black for the back. if you're doing the Ukraine or the Hutch flag, you're gonna need painter's tape to do this project. I would also recommend having some Q-tips. Pretty much everybody has Q-tips in their house. If you want to do, on the traditional one, you want to do dots around the center, you're gonna have to have some Q-tips. As far as brushes go, the kit does not come with brushes, so I would recommend having a large brush and then a smaller medium-sized brush. And that should be all you need. The other thing you're gonna get in your kit is some D-rings. So these are gonna go on the back when we're done. And then you're also gonna get some rope so that we can string it from side to side so that you can hang it on your door or inside your house, whichever. So you have screws and D-rings at the end, so you'll need a screwdriver or a drill, like a screw gun, to put that in. But screwdriver should be fine. They're very tiny screws because this is a 1-inch piece of plywood that we're working with. So it'll be pre-sanded, and then you'll just attach these on the back like so and tie your rope on. So that is that. Okay. So I not have that fall on the floor. Okay, so I'm gonna start out my sunflower the same way that you're gonna start out yours, okay? We're gonna start with the darker of the two yellows. And I think I got myself two of the same color. Hang on a second. Yeah, okay, so I need the darker. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna put this black away because we're not painting the back tonight. We've already done that. And I'm starting out with a medium-sized brush. And what we're gonna do is, and I know you guys can't see my pencil lines, but there are petals that are in the front and petals that are in the back. And you can tell that because the line of the curve comes in front. So we're gonna take the dark color and paint the petals that are in the back first. Okay, so since your sunflower is going to have the Ukraine colors in the middle, I would try to keep within your lines, okay? Mm-hmm. It's just, their flag is just yellow and blue, correct? I believe. Okay. You have your phone handy? Yeah. Let's pull up your phone just in case. I believe it's just yellow and blue. So we're gonna start out by, and you're gonna be able to see my lines real quick here. As I paint in these first petals. You're gonna see what I'm talking about when I say choose the petals that are in the back. Okay, so it's simple blue and yellow. Okay, so for yours, that lighter yellow is gonna be in the middle. So when you do your back petals, try not to go into the middle of your sunflower. So you're gonna do like this. Okay. Keep with that line that's drawn there. Doesn't have to be perfect because the petal next to it's gonna also be yellow, and we'll end up doing some blending here in a minute. And you're gonna go over with the dark blue in the center, so if you accidentally go through the middle, it's not gonna hurt a thing. So we're gonna end up having to do 2 coats of paint on each of these petals, and you wanna also paint your edges on the side. So you're gonna lift it up and make sure you get all of your edges. And you want your edges to match the petal you're doing. So I'm gonna do dark on these back petals and light on the other. So this is just a really simple free paint project. If you decide to do the Hutch flag, we will send you a little stencil to do the Hutch flag part of it, the little star. The rest of that is just painter's tape, so it's not too difficult. I'm gonna try to keep this super simple for you guys so you can end up with a really cool project, but you can also do whatever you want. Like, you could make your sunflower different colors. If you don't want the yellow paint that I send, you can do a purple one, you know? You don't have to do...
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah, make it rainbow, you know?
Sure, have some fun with it.
If you think your kids might like to do this, yeah, they don't have to follow the rules. They can totally do whatever they want. So I think this might be is this the first live we've done in the new studio?
I think it is. If we did another one, maybe at the very beginning, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so this is kind of nice to do.
It's so quiet and relaxing.
Okay, so I printed out a few Ukraine, Kansas type facts because I figured there'd be a little dead time here while we're painting this.
Sure.
So I'm gonna throw one out.
Hit me.
Okay. The climate in both Kansas and Ukraine is similar, allowing the native flower to flourish thousands of miles apart. It's something Mennonite immigrants from Ukraine and the Crimea area learned when they relocated to Kansas in the late 1800s, seeking greater religious freedoms.
Oh, that's really cool. So the sunflower is really a really good choice for this project.
Yeah, so what's great about this is, obviously it's our state flower, so whether you want to show support for Ukraine or you just like our state flower and it's a great summer decoration, either way, $15 is going towards the humanity, what is it, Humane Fund or Humanity Fund, whatever
Yeah.
yeah.
It's going to help.
Yeah. It's been a long day. Whew. Okay, so I've almost got all of my back petals done in a darker yellow. And I pulled out hair dryers. If you don't have a hair dryer to work with at home, you know, this is easy enough that you can just let it dry naturally since we're not messing with stencils or anything. Until you get to the painter's tape part in the middle, then you want that to be dry. Probably should grab an apron. Okay, I know I missed my edges here, so let's do that. And I think we're just going to use our hair dryer just for the sake of speeding this along for you guys. So if you're watching this on playback later, just fast forward through the hair dryer so you don't have to listen to it. Okay. Doing okay?
I think so.
All right. So we are going to need 2 coats of this yellow, but while this coat dries, I'm just going to switch from that yellow to this other lighter yellow. And I'm going to switch my brush out and use a different brush. And I'm going to do the opposite petals. And again, if they slightly overlap, that's okay because we're going to shade it here in a minute. This lets you kind of keep in your brain which ones are to the front and which ones are to the back. So you want to give a little plug for your other business. I know you do, so Tara does classes with me on a regular basis, but she also has another business that they launched last summer.
Ooh, our bounce house business?
Yeah, so Tara has a bounce house business. So all of you moms that are watching, just in case you need some summertime fun, birthdays, whatever. It's called Sugar Sweet Bounce House and Party Rentals.
Yep. And you can find us on Facebook at Sugar Sweet Bounce Houses, or you can find us online at sugarsweetparties.com. And I tell you what, we were waiting around all weekend for some new bounce houses, and they finally came today.
And it was raining.
When it was raining. Well, we had like 20 minutes to get them inside before it stopped raining. And they came on these 2 giant pallets.
Mm-hmm.
It was so awesome. Big old semi-truck came to our house.
So you have both wet and dry.
We do. Yeah, wet
Bounce
and dry
houses.
bounce houses. And the kids love them. All of the kids.
And then you also offer some other things, right?
Sure. Yes, we have a cotton candy machine, popcorn machines. We have picnic tables that you can rent from us, as well as little umbrellas that go on top of the picnic tables so that it keeps you out of the sun a little bit if it's too sunny in the middle of the summer. You could rent cornhole boards from us if you don't have a set of your own that you bought here at Splinters-N-Rust. We got a lot of your party needs over here.
That's awesome. And you probably have seen Tara out at Third Thursday. She's usually out in front of the store doing her cotton candy. And it's delicious.
Oh, it's so yummy. Just think, you could have it at your party, unlimited cotton candy.
Mm-hmm.
Soaking up those flavors.
You mean soaking up that sugar? Okay, so you're gonna notice yellow paint does not cover well on the first coat, right? It just doesn't. So
Never.
we definitely have to have 2 coats of yellow. And then we're gonna go back over it with our shading, which ends up giving us a 3rd. These are nice sanded pieces of plywood though, so they don't have like a ton of knots or movement in them that it's distracting really to see the wood grain.
Oh, they're really pretty.
Okay, I'm painting way faster than Tara.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Everybody paints at a different pace. That's what's great about these videos. You can pause it and paint away and then press play again and pick up where you left off.
I think I used too small of a brush for the first.
No, you're using the right brush. This is the 3rd one I've done this week, so I'm a little more.
Oh, you've done it already. See, this is my first one. I haven't gotten to do one yet. This is fun for me.
Okay, so now you can easily see front, back, front, back.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna go in and hit my other back petals are starting to dry now, so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna hit them with my 2nd coat. If your paint is like really thick, all you have to do is add a couple drops of water to it and mix it up to make it flow a little bit better. In case you don't get to this project right away, say you buy it and then you don't do it for another 2 weeks or something and it's sitting in your house, you may want to put a drop or 2 of water in the paint just to make it flow a little better.
It's always good to know.
And this darker yellow is a little bit thicker.
Yes. Which is nice because it covers a little bit better, but if it gets too thick, it's hard to move around.
Yeah, you don't want it to be chunky. You keep your petal over there.
I'll try.
All right, let me whip out another Ukraine fact here. Talking specifically about sunflowers, the flowers are hardy and can survive in strong wind and harsh late summer temperatures of Kansas, much like the people who call the state home.
Oh.
Ukraine describes its people the same way.
I could agree with that.
So I'm sure you guys remember, I guess maybe it was 2 years ago, the Love Hutch hearts that just were popping up mysteriously around town. And they still to this day remain, and every time I see them, it kind of makes me happy, and I enjoy looking at them in various areas of town. So I thought, what a great way to not only show solidarity for these poor people in the Ukraine right now, by doing a project that is unique, similar but unique to every, like no sunflower is going to be the same.
Yeah.
And just have them all over town would be awesome, I feel like.
I agree with that. It'd be beautiful.
Okay, so my second coat is done of my dark petal, and I'm just gonna hit my edges one more time. And to you guys, it looks like I'm being super neat about this, but I'm not. You might want to be a little slower than me. I'm hearing thunder out there
I was
still.
wondering if that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Our little rain earlier might not have been all of it.
Okay. So I've got my second coat on my back petal, and now my first group of petals in the front is pretty much dry again. And I'm gonna go back and just quickly put another coat on them. And what I'll do is go ahead and walk you through the center of the traditional sunflower while you are finishing up your coats of petals over there.
Good, good.
This looks kind of a little funny, I think, when you first start out with these two different colors on the petals.
It does. It almost looks just like the sun.
Yeah, it looks a little silly at first, but there is a method to my madness here.
I'll trust it. Just keep on painting.
Gotta do your base coats before you can do your shading and make it look pretty. Alright.
Turn it a little bit so I can do my edges.
So that is 2 coats on every petal. And so my center is going to be dark brown, so I'm just making sure that I've got all of my paint kind of right up to the, right past the line here of my circle in the middle. And I'm just kind of dragging my paint towards the center here, because we're going to come up with the brown here in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to temporarily just put, I work with baby wipes all the time, so if you have baby wipes at home, they're awesome for like just sticking your brush in it so they don't dry out while you do something else. Okay. So for your center, you're gonna have 2 different shades of brown. And I'm gonna have you guys start with just a base coat of this lighter shade first. We just gotta do the work and get it filled in here. And this also is gonna take 2 coats. And I'm just gonna freehand this circle. So the nice thing about the center of a sunflower is that it is not a perfect round edge, right? So the stress of having to freehand the circle, even though it's drawn on there, just get it out of your mind, because it is not in the end going to be a perfect edge. Because the center of the sunflower is the seeds, right? All of the yummy sunflower seeds. Mm-hmm. And so those are bumpy. And they kind of grow in rows, circular rows, right? So I'm just getting a real rough base coat on here. And then I may take my hair dryer and just go ahead and dry that so that my second coat covers a little better. Okay, so I'm gonna quick turn the hair dryer on. So if you wanna mute your sound real quick, this will only take a second. Okay, so I'm gonna now go back and just add a second coat so that we can cover up the wood grain. And then we'll be ready to make it look pretty. And feel free to ask questions if you guys have any questions as we go about the kit or what we're doing, or trying to watch for comments, or just say hi if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys kind of what we're going to do here, what the plan is. So we want a darker center, which is going to make the sunflower seeds look like they're dropping in. This has some depth to it. And we're going to have a little bit of a darker edge around the outside. And when I did this, I definitely did not make it so that it was a perfect circle. And you probably can't see detail through the camera right there, but these lines are kind of jagged and zigzaggy a little bit and kind of plopped on there, so it doesn't look like they are perfect, which is nice. So I'm going to start out by kind of adding the darker ring, and I'm going to take just a tiny bit of black in my dark brown just to make it a little bit darker than it is, because it's kind of this shade and I want it this darker shade. So you're going to do a little bit of mixing there. So I have kind of my base coat of the brown here. First I'm going to take the darker brown and I'm going to give myself kind of a guideline of a center, okay? So taking like the tip of my brush here and just dabbing it until I make a circle that I'm happy with for a center. I'm kind of like drawing, but not drawing with the paint-ish. Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking to see, okay, is that kind of even? Top, bottom, around, looks like a circle. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm gonna come back with my dark brown and I'm gonna keep dabbing till I fill this whole circle in. I'm not painting it on, I'm dabbing it on, because this is gonna give us a little bit of like a texture to it, some interest. It's letting some of the light brown come through at the same time. So there's kind of my center. And what I want to do now is make that even darker, okay? So I'm gonna take maybe the lid of one of these and add a little bit of black. Actually, no, I'm gonna take one of these little bowls. I'm gonna take a little bit of the brown. Do not leave a lot. And like a tiny, tiny little bit of black, because black, oops, goes a long way. A long way. So like a tiny bit of black. And I'm gonna go a shade darker than what I've got here. I'm gonna add just a hair more. I'm mixing this really well, because your paint will kind of get caught up in your bristles there. You want to make sure you get all of that black out. Let me move that so it doesn't get on your sunflower. Okay, so I'm going to go back with this darker shade of brown, and I'm going to start plugging it into my circle that I made. And I'm kind of dabbing in a circular motion because the seeds are circular. Some of my paintbrush is coming off in my, let's add a little bonus right there.
Texture.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have my center. I'm gonna take this same black and I'm gonna dab around the edge, the outside edge, and I'm gonna let it kind of come over my line a little bit so it comes onto the petal a little bit using the tip of my brush. So it's kind of on the line, off the line, very irregular. Makes it look like seeds coming over onto the petal a little bit. And that's my darkest shade that I made, right? Like, oh my gosh, that's really harsh, right? So what you're gonna do is work your way in a little bit from the edge, the same color. And then you're gonna go back and grab some of your middle tone brown that you started with. You had the two shades, the light and the dark. So you're gonna take the middle tone and you're gonna dab it right into the outside edge where you left off there. Kind of blend these two shades together. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some of my, and I'm all using the same brush here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to dip into the light brown and I'm going to grab it and put that on the edge of the next color that I put. And I'm going to keep working my way back to the center so that all of it has kind of this pounced seed look. Hi, Kylie. Kylie doesn't need to learn how to paint. What are you doing on here?
She's just coming to say hi, of
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm working back in the lighter brown with the tip of my brush all the way around. Kylie loves the centers of sunflower. She loves to paint them. She'll have to tell you how much she loves it. She just finished a sunflower painting in our oil painting class, and she loves it. Okay, so I've got my dark center, my dark outer ring, and then I kind of worked it in with the middle shade and the next ring, and then I took the lighter back out and made it all come together towards the middle. So now it kind of looks like a seed center. You could go even more prominent with the dark if you wanted to, in the very, very center. You could add another little tiny bit of black to it, make it even darker. How are you doing over there on your petals? Well, Kylie, I trying to make it simple. Trying to make it simple. We're not going to do individual little hairs on each little seed like we do in oil painting class.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So do you have your 2 coats?
I do have my 2 coats.
Awesome. Okay, so can you blow dry that for
Yep.
just a hot second? And then okay, so we determined that the Ukraine flag is just the blue and the lighter yellow, the lighter shade of yellow. So since we want to keep this area like super clean when we do it, we're going to do your shading on your petals first, and then we're going to hit yours in the center last when we put our painter's tape on, and we're going to try to make our edge a little more straight. Like we're not doing the seeds on the edge here. We're making it actually round. So we're going to be more careful about following our pencil line. So we'll do our shading in case you kind of go over into the center by mistake. We'll be able to cover that up with paint in the very last step. Cool. Okay. So for the shading, what I did was I tried to put more shading on the back petal to make it look like it's behind the front petal. And then I went back at the very end and did this blue kind of free lines, just for fun. So the same goes for, I need like another table over here. The same goes for this one. We're gonna do more shading on the back than the front, but we're gonna mix, since we're getting 2 shades of yellow in our kit, we're going to use both shades of yellow on all of the petals. Ooh. Okay? And a little brown. Okay, so you need a brown. Okay. I'm going to give you the lighter shade of brown. And you're going to use a small brush.
Small enough?
Yeah, that'll work. And we're going to have both our yellows handy. We'll start with the yellows, okay? The key to, especially painting on wood for blending, is that you are blending together wet paint with wet paint. Okay, so you're not gonna get this, this light yellow to blend in with this dark yellow if this is dry. So we have to reapply a little bit of the dark yellow when we apply the light yellow to blend it. So hopefully that hasn't thrown you too much. So let me pull my yellows back out as well. Or I guess we could share. How about that?
Sure.
Okay. So let's pick a dark petal to start with. So we're going to apply a little bit more of the dark yellow to our tip here so that it's wet.
Okay.
Then we can mix in a little bit of the lighter yellow because the sun kind of hits the tip of the petal. So I'm just kind of starting at the very top and pulling it down towards the center. So hopefully, I'm not sure how yellow comes out on the, so I'm starting to apply the light yellow at the tip and then I'm just working it down towards the center there. And I'm kind of catching my drips here on the edges too. So that's how you're going to do the tips. And working from the center out, you're going to apply a little more of the dark yellow. Get it wet. Then you're going to dip a little bit in the brown and just a tiny bit. You don't want to go too crazy dipping it in there because you don't need very much on your brush, just a tiny bit. And you're going to start from the center and work your way outward. And because the paint, the yellow paint underneath is wet, it's going to blend nicely and it's not going to be too high contrast. So you can really start to build it up a little at a time. If you go too crazy and it's too much brown at once, you can back it off by putting some more of that yellow on top of it. If you can't get it to blend right, dry it and try again. You can always go back to your base color. How you doing?
More?
Yeah. And pull it out. Yeah, that looks good. You're pulling it out a little bit further into the petal, and that's what you want because you kind of stopped short there. You want it to kind of fade in. So we're just going to work our way around with that process. So if you want to do all this, the insides first, and then do your tips.
Okay.
And I usually work with the same brush over and over again when I'm doing these. So dip in my dark yellow, get that wet, get a tiny little bit of brown, go from the center and then pull it out. Don't break out if it goes too crazy, like if it's too dark, go back to your darker yellow and mute it down a little bit. You want the contrast, in the end, you want the contrast to be noticeable enough between the dark and the petals in the back to the petals in the front. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna turn it. Dip back into my dark yellow. Get that paint wet. Baby dip. And then drag it. And I'm dragging from kind of the base of the petal in front, and I'm kind of going with the shape of that outline. See, I did that one real dark so you could see it. Kind of going with the shape of the outline and then pulling it out. Because you want to keep kind of that rounded form of the petal. Kylie is snooping for research is what she says.
Oh, sure. Good to know, good to know.
As if she doesn't get enough painting here on Monday nights. She's got to research. And as you're going around, like your other petals are going to start to dry, and you're going to see where you need to kind of blend them in a little bit more. And how you'll do that is you'll just go back to your dark yellow, and you'll kind of feather it back the other direction a little bit to kind of feather it in and mute it down a little bit so it's not like super, I don't know how to explain that, super noticeable brush strokes flaring out. You want it to kind of all blend nicely. Be soft, I guess is a good word. Sound good?
Maybe. Might have to go back over it again.
It's definitely something that you have to just kind of get a feel for. You're going to probably go around your thing a couple of times till you're happy with it.
I think I'll know more once it dries. Then I'll be like,
And then you also, once you get your shading started, and you can stand back from it a little bit, because these are going to be hanging on your door, so people are going to be viewing it from a distance. So you might feel like you're going too dark, but when you stand away from it a couple of feet, it may not be dark enough to give you enough contrast between the front petal and the back petal.
sure.
Remember how I said we'll end up with like 3 coats of paint on here?
Yeah.
And you can kind of see why. Okay, so I've gone around one time adding my darker shading. So I'm going to come back on the same back petal and do the opposite. Okay, I'm going to add the dark to the tip to wet it down, and then I'm going to go to the light and add the light, starting from the tip and working my way back the other direction. And they're going to meet in the middle here. So it's where it's out far enough to catch the light versus close enough in that it's getting the shadow from the petal in front of it. So re-wetting it at the top, and
So
then
it's not a lot, but it's a decent amount of paint that you're putting back on.
oh yeah. And when you're mixing the bright yellow and the dark yellow together when they're both wet, it kind of makes this middle color that you didn't have before in between these two.
Yeah. There we go, flinging paint. I'm good at that.
Okay, I got one more. And I don't know how well these shadows are going to show up for you guys. It's hard for me to tell based on looking at my screen here. You can definitely stop into the shop and see these in person too if you have questions. Like when you pick up your kit, you can look at them more closely. You could take a close-up photograph of them to take home. That might be helpful too. Okay, so all of my back petals have been shaded dark towards the center and light towards the outside. So now we're going to do this process with the front petals. So what I did was I took the dark, because we want to add some color to this with the dark now in the front petals. So I dip into the light again and I wet down my, oops, I saw a side eye photo. Dip into the light, which is the color that it is, and wet it down. And then I'm gonna dip into the dark or yellow and use it to shade. So I'm kind of covering the whole thing here, making it all wet. I'm gonna grab the dark and I'm gonna work my way down from the tip like I did before with the other petals. Just to add like that third color in there, it makes that front petal a little less glaring and bright yellow. It kind of tones it down a little bit and brings it more closely to this color family here. So on this one, I'm working from the tip down. So I wet the petal down with the light yellow.
The whole petal.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm grabbing the darker color and working from the tip and pulling it back down into the petal. So we're going to come back and add some more like broad stroke lines to define all of these petals and do like the little, do the little centers here. We'll add those. Those are more playful in the center there. That'll be the next step. It's looking good, Tara.
Pull it in like that.
Mm-hmm. Now see how these kind of blend better together? You've got a little of the dark and a little of the light on both.
Not such a stark contrast.
I don't do so much stuff in the way tonight.
Well, I think it's because you're getting such a great size on these.
Yeah, I thought they were 18 inches, and then I was like, oh no, those are 24. These are huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just don't think they'd be the same if they were any smaller. They're just such.
Yeah, they'll be very pretty on your door and very like noticeable, for sure. Okay, so I'm adding my dark from the top of the petal down. And I got one more to go. This is a good test for me working out of these cups so I know I'm sending enough paint with you.
Especially if we're both using the same one.
Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of uses paint differently though.
Yes.
Some people are very heavy-handed. I'm trying not to be heavy-handed with paint here, so if I say go lightly, go lightly. Okay, so we've kind of created that third color of yellow by doing those blending techniques. Awesome. Got a big drip. Thanks. Okay, so you're gonna need to dry your petals so that we can put some painter's tape across here on yours. And I think we should pull up that Ukraine flag one more time to make sure that we have the distance between how much should be blue and how much should be yellow.
Okay. Should be my last petal here.
Doing good. Okay. Okay, so we determined that the Ukraine flag is half blue, half yellow, evenly. So that makes it easy, right?
Yes, extremely.
Right, she says. So you need painter's tape to make this happen. And we were just kind of looking at the sunflower, and we're gonna go, I think it's blue on top, yellow on the bottom, correct? Depending on how the wind blows? Yeah, so blue on top. Okay. So we're gonna take the painter's tape and divide this puppy out. So I think we were looking at kind of going from tip to tip here on the petal. And this obviously is, I'm eyeballing this.
It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, okay. So I always kind of take something, an edge of something like a paintbrush or a credit card or something, and I work the edge down so that you don't have any bleed. I'm sure you're seeing that, okay. Okay, so you're gonna go to your Ukraine blue or your Hutch blue. Now if you're doing the Hutch flag, the process is gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna do an extra step. So if you're doing the Hutch flag, you're dividing it into 3. Mainly blue, then the yellow, then the white. So you're gonna have to tape it twice, where she only is gonna have to, well, 3 times, and you're gonna only have to tape it twice.
Right.
So you're gonna wanna be neat about this as you do the top half of your circle.
Okay. I'll be careful. I need another little brush.
Yeah, so grab a smaller brush for this one. You can use a smaller brush for your outline part and then come fill in with a bigger brush if you want to. Definitely gonna need 2 coats. So while she is working on that, I was gonna show you, you can take a Q-tip or even the back end of a paintbrush. Will you grab me a small one too? Just anything, because I'm gonna use the back part. So on my sunflower, and I never seem to have the right one in front of me, hang on. For the last step on this center part for the traditional sunflower, what I did was add, and maybe you can see there's some more prominent kind of dots all the way around in the center and on the outside. So in the center, I've got lighter brown dots, and on the middle ring that's lighter, I have the dark and the middle brown. So you can use a Q-tip or even the back of your paintbrush. So I'm gonna, like if I go back to my darkest brown, I can use the end of my paintbrush, kind of dip it in there so there's paint on the edge of it, and then I can use it to make my dots. You can get usually 2 or 3 before you have to redip. And these are gonna be totally random. Don't overthink it. Big, small, you want them to have personality. So your first will be big. Now you can also use a Q-tip. You'll need a couple so that you can do all the colors, but this kind of works the same way, right? Little polka dots. And I'm gonna dip into my lighter brown, my other end. I'm gonna put some in the center here. I think I like the tip of the paintbrush maybe a little bit better than the Q-tip because you can get kind of the first dot is a little bigger than the rest, and they start to kind of fade off a little bit. So I'm getting some variation in my dots. And then I'm going to come around the middle part. And add some there. This is for Kylie, so she can see I'm making everyone do the little tiny finishing dots. Okay? Looks like seeds, right? Easy. You could even, if you want to get playful with it, dip into your yellow the same way and add a few yellow. Not a ton, just a couple here and there. That's fun.
I like that.
Okay, so you've done a great job with your circle.
Thank you. I tried really hard actually.
So she's going to do 2 coats on that. She's going to dry it in between so that the second coat covers really well, and then she's going to pull that tape off And she can reuse that same piece of tape just by using the opposite side to move the tape and stick it right along the edge of the blue, and then she's going to come in with the yellow side underneath. And you may end up wanting to do 3 coats of the yellow because it's the lighter shade.
Yeah.
You want to do the lighter shade for the bottom half of that flag. Thank you for doing the Ukraine flag.
Of course. It's going to look so nice. I'm going to dry a little bit.
Okay. So I'm going to recommend that if you do this kit, you don't already have brushes at home, that you just go get like a variety pack of sizes. Because for this final step to kind of put those whimsical lines in, you're going to want to go with a longer brush that's a smaller tip. I kind of like them to be a little bit rounded at the top. They're not super fine. They say number 2, number 3 on them. I don't know if that's universal, whatever, but it's like a thinner, rounded tip. This just gets just the right amount of paint to be able to do those long strokes. So we're gonna do like the little dents on the inside of the flower here, and we're gonna add a little bit of outlining so you can really define the outer shape of your petal. And I can see as I'm working around this that I missed an edge. So if you decide to do the Hutch flag and we send a stencil, I will send you written directions for how to apply the stencil. It's very easy, it's very simple. And we also have lots of tutorials on the YouTube channel that you can go back and look at how to apply and paint a stencil. It's just basically a sticker. You're gonna peel it off, stick it on, and then paint and peel it off.
That's right.
Very easy.
Very easy. I'm gonna try this again.
Okay. Oh, gorgeous. And if you get it wrong, and it's not half and half or a little off, you could just put the paint back tape down and add a little more blue.
All right.
We're good though.
I think that looks pretty good.
It's fine.
That's good.
So she's gonna take the other side of the tape that doesn't have paint on it, and she's lining it up with the edge of the blue.
This blue is almost the exact same color as this.
Same as the tape, it'll be, yeah. Maybe we can buy the green frog tape for this project.
It's okay.
So now she's gonna take the lighter shade of yellow, and after she gets that tape down really well and fill in that part of the sunflower. And while she's working on that, I'm gonna go ahead and add the final accent lines to this sunflower. I'm taking my Q-tip here and I'm just kind of hitting the edge a little bit more where I kind of went over with my yellow here and there. Kind of defining my line a little bit more.
What is that? Is that light color?
The lighter yellow, this one, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think I saw it both ways on there, but
I think it's light color.
whatever you like better.
This one.
Okay, so I'm gonna take my thin rounded tip brush and I'm gonna work with both shades of brown. I'm gonna use kind of my darker and my middle brown, which I put over here. So this part, you do not have to like be super exact and get it, you know, completely on the edge, perfect with your lines. This part is very loose and playful, so don't stress about this, okay? The trick is getting enough paint on your brush when you start, so you don't have to go back multiple times and like pick up where you left off, if that makes sense. So I'm dipping into this darker brown that you were given, not the one I mixed up, but the darker brown that came in your kit. And I'm gonna start pulling out the line of the petal, okay? So it's gonna be real dark where I start, and then it's gonna kind of fade off as I lose paint, okay? And that's fine. That's what we wanted to do. So I'm using my pinky, see if I can, using my pinky as kind of a tripod, okay? So I'm gonna use it as a base to rest on the flower to hold my hand steady. So stick your pinky out, put your hand down on your pinky, and then drag your arm across the flower. Not your, don't be like this, drag your whole arm as you go around the petal. And I'm gonna turn it. Make sure you turn it so you're comfortable. Using my pinky down, I'm gonna drag my whole arm. Load up my brush, put my pinky down, drag my whole arm. So we're gonna do all of the lines that were pencil drawn. You can still see them, so you haven't lost them, and you still have your variation of color, so you know exactly where those go, right from this indentation down to the center. And then on each one of these, I'm gonna do a little like, in the front petal, I'm gonna go from the center, kind of up at an angle, and then I'm gonna go from the center, up at an angle. So they're coming this way from the center. You can go from the bottom to the top, top and the bottom, whatever you're more comfortable with. Using my pinky as my tripod and dragging my whole arm back. Are you ready to do it, Tara?
Yeah.
Try not to put your finger in the paint and drag it.
That's so fun.
If you do, grab your baby wipe and it will come, you can wipe it off. Second coat of yellow. And so since this yellow is going to kind of bleed into these yellow petals and you're gonna kind of lose that circle, we're gonna have to define that circle with this accent lines like we're doing on the petals here with a blue. You could do brown too, you could do blue and brown. I would choose to do blue. Oh, I can get with this one. So it might look brown, but that's actually navy blue, or this hutch blue. And if you don't want to do traditional or hutch sunflower, you could do a whole other painting in the center of your sunflower. You could do like a sunset. You could do welcome. You could put words.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of possibilities. You could do an American flag.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
That'd be a little more work. If you have a Cricut, you can make a stencil, or you can have me make a stencil for you if you want some wording on it. You definitely want to do all your painting first. Let it dry before you start layering with stenciling on top of anything. So master this part first, and then if you want to add to it, we can add to it.
Try this real quick and then I can.
Yep,
Some other stuff.
dry. I think for filming purposes, we're gonna say we did 3. I think it looks good. Yeah. Okay, so this is so like in your face prominent. We need more blue on this.
Yeah.
We need it to be like more. So she's gonna use the rounded small tip brush and get some blue on there. So I would not start with this part because this is gonna be the more stressful part. Okay, so start with your petals going outward.
Like here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna tripod your hand and you're gonna pull your arm back. You wanna practice before you dip in the paint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm trying to decide
Like
this
what's the?
handed.
Yeah.
Oh no, you said pull your whole hand.
Yeah. Use your whole arm.
Trying to decide this way.
What's more comfortable if you're working this direction or you're working that direction? Whatever you're more comfortable dragging it.
Try it. Like a lot?
Yep. So load up your brush pretty decent so that you can get pretty far. Okay. Start in the center on the line there. So you don't have kind of the seeds that I do.
Mhm.
So you're going to try to be right on the pencil line when you start your.
I'm gonna start on the blue
Start
side.
on the blue. That's
Yeah.
right. Get you a practice run. There you go.
Pretty, pretty.
And just one stroke and done. Don't be like nitpicking it. Just drag it on. It doesn't need to be completely solid. Doesn't need to be exactly perfect.
Okay.
It's a playful kind of line. When you have your hand kind of in that tripod situation where your pinky is down, it kind of prevents you from doing this number unless you're, you know, shaky as it is. But if you're pulling your whole arm back, it's going to make you more steady.
Sure. That makes sense.
And so now that I have all of mine kind of out to the indents here on the petals, I do want to add some to my edges. So I go back with my tiny my brush, and I get more brown on there, and I'm gonna kind of run it along the edge of the wood. I'm not painting on the top, I'm just kind of hitting at an angle the edge. So you can kind of see a line, but you kind of can't. Does that?
Yeah.
Gives you a hint of an edge, but it's not like super harsh. It can be thick sometimes, and it can be thin. That's why it's kind of whimsical and playful. It's because it's not an exact, like when like a coloring book outline is the same all around. We don't want that. You want to show your brush stroke. You want to show that it's actually painted by a human hand. What is that? I'm just gonna drag on my brush kind of right on the edge, and I'm still using that darker brown that came in my kit. This is gonna help you kind of see all the petal edges from a distance too. Keep turning your flower so that you're kind of hitting it where you're most comfortable. And this part is where you can get really playful with color too. Like you can, if you don't want to use the dark brown for your petal outlines, you can use the blue. You can use 3 different shades of brown. You can overlap them. You can choose a third
Brown
color.
on this part instead of that blue.
No, I use the blue.
Use blue. Oh yeah, you did.
So I used the blue even for those center strokes, and then I added some kind of in between, a little line in between too.
Okay, I'm gonna get that. I think I touched it.
That's okay. So baby wipe will take it off, right?
Sure. I can touch it up.
Keep going. And you can come a little bit longer with those too. They don't all have to be short. Got my outline on the edge of all of my petals. And then I'm gonna come back with these back petals. I'm just gonna do one quick center stroke. And it's very light and playful, very easy. So that is like the basic traditional. That's pretty much done. And definitely go a little bit bolder and add some blue, which I think I might do, just for fun. So you can see how you can mix the colors. Can we share? I'm just gonna add the blue back kind of in the same place that I have my brown. I'm not gonna worry about whether it overlaps 100%. I kind of don't want it to. I'm just gonna follow the same stroke here. You can add a couple blue dots in your center. Kind of pull the color through the entire project. You add another color. This would be another fun way to make this one more Ukraine and not have the flag. More Hutch and not have the flag.
Ooh. Be like school colors too, right?
Salt Fox?
Yeah.
See how fast I'm doing that? I'm really not thinking about it. I'm just going. Now it has a little bit of blue. Kind of like that.
That's cute.
So you guys can see the blue and the brown in that. And I apologize if these lights are not showing you true color, but that would be another way to make it kind of a Hutch flag, Ukraine flag, without going and doing the flag center. So I'm going to quick dry the front of this and we can put our little hooks on the back. Oh, we need to talk about sealing it. Okay, so in your kit, aside from just the paint, you're going to have a little cup of polyurethane. I'm going to show you what I'm using. Oh gosh. Got sunflowers everywhere. Okay, so everybody's gonna get a cup of polyurethane. So this is a Varathane, and it's a satin finish, so it's not gonna be super shiny. You definitely don't want to put this on until your project is dry. So if you can wait till the next day, do that. If not, make sure it's very dry with a hairdryer or give it a couple hours before you start slapping on the polyurethane. So I'm gonna dry this for a minute. Okay, so you guys are gonna seal the front and the back of these. So this goes on kind of cloudy and dries crystal clear, but the reason I want you to do front and back is because black kind of shows everything, all your handprints. It's not really cleanable with a rag or anything. So until you put the sealer on, it's gonna show all the marks. So you're gonna put it on the back, either pick whatever side you wanna start with, as long as they're both dry. Apply it, dry it with a hairdryer or let it sit and dry for 30 minutes or so, flip it over and do the other side, and then put your hangers on. So this is just a real quick, easy application. I'll show you. You're just gonna brush it on very lightly with a light touch. Gonna want to catch all your drips on the sides, because if you don't, they'll dry like really hard, crispy drips.
You don't want that.
Okay, good. So you did your blue outline. I think that helps really define the flag center. Yeah. And your playful blue outlines. Looks great.
Awesome.
Yeah, good job. Okay, so I will not bore you with putting polyurethane on the whole front of this, because that everybody's pretty much knowledgeable on that. I will tell you, however, if you're gonna use a soft brush, I found these at Walmart, and they come 3 sizes to a pack, and they're very soft. I think this is like a sable or something. They're a 3-inch, but this, you know, there's 3 sizes in a pack, and they're very soft, so they put on the polyurethane very evenly. So I really like these if you are gonna buy a brush for your poly. You may want to pour it out onto a plate, because this is not going to fit in your little cup. No. So yeah, and that's really all there is to it. So the last step is to take your little D-rings. You're going to decide kind of, you know, what is your top, what is your bottom, and then you're just going to take a screwdriver. You'll have a screw for each one. You will lay down your D-ring flat, and I usually you know, you want them to be spaced evenly across, and I go about halfway between. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals above where I'm putting my brackets. You're going to screw those in, and then you're just going to take the rope that you provided and feed it through and tie a knot on the back, and really that's all there is to it.
Perfect.
So you end up with your knot tied on each D-ring. Fire trucks. Okay guys, so that is it. That is the to-go kit. That is the Sunflower Project, the Sunflower Challenge. We took it, we conquered it, we rock.
We made it. It's fun.
Yeah, and so I know all of you guys can do it too, and I'm super excited because everyone will be unique, and I can't wait to see like how many different versions people come up with for this, and see them on doorways all around town. So if you're interested in a kit, $40, 15 of that goes towards Ukraine Help Fund through United Way. You can order them online, Splinters-N-Rust.com. I guess we can say goodbye. Go to the shop tab on Splinters-N-Rust.com if you would like to order. You can also order these pre-made if you don't want to paint it, but you just want to have one for your door. And we have 2 classes coming up. The first class is the 16th, and there's a few seats left. There's like 4 seats left, I think. And then there's another one on the 30th. So we're going to keep going all summer. We're going to bust out some sunflowers.
Yes.
We are doing the Sunflower Challenge, so please do it with us. We will get back to any comments or questions that are on the video. If you have anything else, just message our page. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you had a good time, and we hope you enjoy these kits. Thanks. Have a good night. Bye.